Hey, welcome to Splash Hit Territory. I'm new, but I'm also one of your co-hosts for this podcast, and get to obviously sit down once again with one of our occasional, but very occasional people that we love to hang out with. Us, Susan Slusser. We're super excited to have her, and she brings us a lot because she's in it with them. She's in it with the Giants. She's in the good. She's in the bad. So thank you for joining us. I appreciate it, Susan. We have a lot
Uh,
to talk about today, though. We got some
Yeah.
stuff. We're going to get into a few things. We're going to get into some scenarios when it comes to consistency with the Giants and winning. We've got Adames. I think we want to talk about some of the scenarios with him, what we saw last night in the game. Plus, also, he's hot. He's hitting very, very well. We can talk trade deadline. We can talk about
Well,
who they
trade
should keep, who they
deadline.
should dump. So it'll be fun. Fun
Good
for you
setup.
guys. Players a little more nerve wracking, and we'll get into that a little bit as well. But it's great. So there's a lot to talk about. Not always during this time with the Giants, it's sometimes not always fun to talk about. But last night, when we see this situation, when we see them starting to get on a roll, I feel, and I think you feel the same way, we're seeing some of the similar things. And I have a perspective, but I'd like to get the pulse from you a little bit as I'm not in the clubhouse, I'm not at all these games. They don't seem to be able to win four straight. And when
Yeah.
you can't win four straight, you can't go on a winning streak. If you can't go on a winning streak, you can't recover from a bad month or a bad season. We see the Boston Red Sox right now, 14 straight wins. Look like they were a horrendous team, which shocked everybody. Alex Cora gets fired. All this crazy stuff goes on. They win 14 straight. Now they're looking pretty good. They're having a good time. That's not the Giants scenario, I don't think. And I don't know how you feel about it. I just don't see it.
Yeah, this is to me one of the more surprising things I've ever actually seen, like low key, because winning four in a row, it's not like a major accomplishment. Like we're not going like, wow, they can't win 15 in a row, they can't win 20 in a row. 4 games that's nothing. That bad teams win four
Yeah.
games in a row all the time. It's just so strange that they just can't quite get there. They've already this is the longest the Giants have ever gone in a season without winning four in a row. So I don't know what to make of this. And it seems like they get so close. And you got Logan Webb on the mound on Saturday, and he's pitching great. And then just stuff unravels weirdly. He hits a guy with an 0-2 pitch. Four
Yeah.
pitch walk. Like these are like sort of cardinal sins. And then gives up a 3-run homer. And you knew the way the Giants season is going, you just knew that was what was going to happen, which and Logan heaped all the blame on himself. Look, the offense has not been scoring at all in the late innings. That to me is the bigger problem. Logan Webb has been great. He's an all-star. His June was spectacular. He is the most accountable player in that clubhouse. But he messes up a little bit. Tony Vitello's been big on this is all about fours, right? You need to score 4 runs really to get a
Yeah.
win in the big leagues. And they just haven't been able to do that. The offense to me is way more. Logan Webb should have the grace to give up a 3-run home run here and there and
Yeah.
not have to go like he said, I'm the we're not allowed to swear on here. I'm the
Uh,
guy that messed up, but it was a little
yeah.
more colorful than that. And
Yeah.
it was not.
But and I appreciate Logan for that. I think any leader on a team, any veteran player, there are going to be the cliche answers. You're going to get that because cliche answers are safe and they're safe for players. But they are so. But there's also, if you understand the game, own it. But also, there's people that understand the game that say you can own it, but and I'm kind of a guy that you should own it, but and if I'm a Logan Webb or if we have a struggling bullpen, a young bullpen, which we have, you're not going to win four straight games in a row if you have to every pitch game on the line. If you cannot make a mistake and you have starters that are out there like, man, if I give up a 3-run homer in the first inning, we're done. Like, and we've seen that. I saw it when I played. However, we had veteran guys that said, you know what, that's fine. We can pitch 2-1 ball games. We didn't love it. It's not like every one of us went out there and said, you know what, I can't wait. I can't wait to be in a 2-1 ball game with run on second and not make a mistake. That's not what we're saying. But I think that if you don't have that breathing room where a starter can say, okay, I struggled in the first inning, but that's it. I'm gonna shut it down and then give my team to peck away, peck away. If a team and offense feels like they can give me 7, 8 innings, we'll work it down. Now you give up a 3-run homer in the seventh, that's going to be a little tougher for most teams, right? But a 3-run, you give up early runs, maybe one late run. Can we recover? Yes, you can, but for me, it's an identity issue right now. It truly is. It's not bad luck anymore. You can have some bad luck in the first month, but if it's consistently a defensive issue, you're making bad plays, you're out of position, you're missing cutoff guys. Last night, bunt plays, you give up, you make mental mistakes. Physical mistakes are one thing; they will happen. Bad ball takes a bad hop, it's a rocket, maybe. Sometimes you get a scorekeeper that's a little more generous than others, maybe give you an error when it should have been a hit or a hit when it should have been an error. But when you get into situations like this where it's actually mental errors, that you're not going to win 4 in a row. You're not going to win 10 in a row because you can't even, you have to play consistent. And I think with Logan, yes, you can say I messed it up. Maybe, but when you sometimes if when the season takes a toll on you, and mentally when you're out there saying I can't do something, and Javi Lopez said something to me one day that was awesome, and that's kind of how we thought. It's not I can't. You can actually. I can't give up a 3-run homer. You can. Seen it happen. Like you definitely can. You don't want to. You want to get it done here, but when you're out there with the I can'ts because you don't know what your team's going to get you defensively, like I have to strike this guy out. Stay away from the I can'ts and stay away from the have tos. I have to strike this guy out. No, I don't. I don't have to. I want to, but I don't have to. But when you get into losing situations, when teams are playing this poorly right now, the whole team is in I have to or I can't. I have to get a hit here. I have to find a way to hit a double. I can't strike a guy out. I can't mess up this play. Then everybody locks up and you can't play loose. Does that make sense? I mean, that's what I feel this team is into right now is I can'ts and I have tos.
It does feel like that. Casey Schmidt's such a great fielder. And 2 games ago, he makes an error with a runner really busting it down the line, just trying to make a great play. You don't have to make the great play. If a guy is busting it, don't force it. Obviously the overthrow, and then that got weird, and that winds up being probably the big play. You just put it in your pocket. If you can't make the play, that's all right.
Yep.
The bunt play last night, well, both bunt plays kind of go a little wonky, and we're so used to like in a sacrifice situation, everybody knows it's coming. The automatic play goes to first. I think everybody was a little surprised Susak goes for second. Vitello did not have a problem with that. He said their catchers are taught if they've, get the lead runner, especially if it's the potential winning run, if you think you've really got a chance. And then Adames is at the bag. And so I think it was kind of a little bit of maybe first is the better play. You get the out, maybe that inning goes completely differently. But also, if Adames is at the bag, maybe the inning goes differently. Rojas is a good runner. He clearly slowed up, but, he might be slowing up because there's nobody at the bag. And
That's
he's
right.
not expecting the throw. Obviously, Adames isn't expecting the throw. But to me, Adames should be at the bag either way. Like, why not? Like, what's the downside of just in case? So
Yep.
that was a weird one to me. And then Eldridge tries to make a glove flip on a ball that Susak said probably was going foul. I don't know. That one to me is like, okay, like if he makes the glove flip, he's out of the plate. But that is a tricky play, and he's not a guy that plays at first base every day. He's very tall. I don't know if that factors in on a bunt glove flip attempt, if that is added degree of difficulty. But I
Yep.
assume it's not quite so easy for a guy that tall. So obviously that didn't work either. I feel like it's extra galling for a
Yeah.
team to lose on 2 bunts, just like stab in the heart, especially after coming back late. And
Yeah.
Willy Adames, puts them in that situation where they come back late. Let's talk about him a little bit more after we hear from one of our fine
What
sponsors.
if you can actually have it all? And I'm talking about Mint Mobile taking the premium wireless bouginess crats, but then bringing it to the transparency in pricing and the affordability in pricing.
They're going to lay everything out there with a cheap bill that, everybody can handle right now.
You can even bring your current phone and your number if you're thinking about it and you're like, I'm worried about that. No worries. They have you covered because they're able to convert people all the time to the Mint Mobile way. Go to mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/territory. That's it. There's no catch. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required, $15 per month equivalent, taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Includes up to 20 gigabyte hotspot. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com.
They sold me.
I know, it just sounds pretty good.
That's awesome. I might need to call him. Let me take a shot at that. Yeah, and like you were talking about Adames, and I do want to talk about his hot streak, because I do like baseball is really hard. So for me, it's like I'd like to throw some positives in there, but on the defensive scenarios, again, like we were talking about, like have tos, and you said it perfectly. Does Adames get to the bag? Should he get to the bag? It doesn't matter. It's execution. When that bunt is, I go to this bag, you go to that bag, give the catcher, give whoever is fielding the option to make a throw. But the throw is going to be there, whatever option that I choose, whatever bag that the position player or the pitcher or whoever has to do it has to make. At least they have the target where the target should be. If it's not there, it causes a lot of panic. But what it also makes you look bad, because it makes it look like, here we go. We got $100 million players, veteran players, looking lost out there. How's that even possible? No, it's not Ron Washington. No, it's not Vitello. No, it's not any coaches. We got guys making $100 million. They know where to go. They know. And I don't think Adames would say he didn't know where to go. He could say, well, there's confused. It doesn't matter. Here's where we go in this situation. Always be ready at all times, especially when it comes to execution, because teams that execute win ball games. Teams that are there, whether the ball's thrown there or not, doesn't matter. We know that we have comfortability, that everybody's where they should be. That's how you win ball games, because what it comes down to is do the game in excellence. Be excellent at everything you do. Be an excellent pitcher, fielding your position. Be an excellent position player. Be in the right spots at the right time, no matter what. Be excellent at the plate. Doesn't mean you're going to get a hit. You might strike out, but give excellent at bats. Make outs. That's what good teams do when they're confident, and that's what I'm starting to see. They're just not confident. Their identity says, we really don't know. And yes, eat it. Schmitty needs to eat it. It's all right. That's what a good position player. But he's doing great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that guy, he's doing awesome. But when a veteran guy that's played a long enough time, they're gonna know, I got to eat it here. And you see the veterans, they go to throw it and they're like, it's never worked out. You talk to a veteran player that says it has worked out every time I've rushed a throw. They won't say that. They'll say, man, it almost pretty much never works out when you have to rush a throw. You're just not going to do it. And if I am going to make a throw that I have to rush, I'm going to put it in the ground and make it bounce, because it's easier for a first baseman probably to pick a ball early. You see Crawford did it all the time. As he got better and better and better, he knew he had to force a play, but what he'd do, he'd throw it and he'd try to skip it in there. And if we got it, great. But sailing it, my biggest thing, what I always heard when I played, and it was as a pitcher as well, is do not make a single into a double. Whatever you do, don't put them on running scoring. The key is to keep them off second base, because if I got a guy on first, I have an option. I got double play opportunities. I got all kinds of scenarios. But if I have to make a single into a double and now I got a guy on second base, now I got to walk a guy or pitch. And that's how I would pitch. It'd be like, well, I'm 2-0 or I'm 2-1. I'm not giving up that run right there. He's going to have to swing at my pitcher. I'm going to walk him and I'm going to set up the double play. But then you're going to also set up a potential 3-run homer. There's a lot of stuff that goes wrong when you give up the extra base. And that needs to not happen. And I think that's where this team needs to find identity.
And that was yet another play where there was sort of like a part two, because there was such a big carom off the sidewall. Potentially, you can actually get the runner at second base, but nobody's covering second. Now,
right.
Adames had been in the hole, maybe tough for him to get over. An outfielder can come in, center fielder can come in, Robbie Gray can maybe get there, but nobody's there. So you don't really have a Rise winds up basically with the ball and nobody to go to. So, little attention to detail, but every little thing seems to be going wrong for the Giants. They never seem to replay reviews go against them. The ABS challenge system, it feels like, they're usually on the wrong side of that. It's just sort of one of those years, like any play, there's at least one or two things where you go like, that wasn't quite right. Where was this guy? It's got to be, it's frustrating for everyone to watch, fans,
And spring
media.
training,
Yeah.
in spring training, don't get like Vitello. I was there. This guy would bring in video, and he'd bring the whole team in, and they would break down plays like to a point where I would sit back there, and I'm like, wait a minute, is this the big leagues? Like and I was almost a knock for me originally with Vitello when I first was there. I'm like, hey man, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, this is not the SEC. This is not. You don't have to bring these kids into a classroom and say, let's go over this play. This is what I like to see. Move guys here and do a whole strategy, because it never happened for us. I just never saw it. But now that I'm seeing what's happening on the field, it wasn't from lack of him trying. It really was not. Vitello, like it wasn't because it was a lazy camp. I felt like 2 years ago it was a lazy camp. This camp was not lazy. They went over stuff. They broke it down. So it is not from that. So something's happening. And I know Adames, and we're going to talk about his back and stuff like that. And it could be part of it. It could be like, I still think it's an identity of I can't and I have to's right now. And you have to get away from that and just have some fun. And so that's up here in the mind. And I think it'll help with that. But Adames right now at the plate, I mean, we're starting to see what that deal with that contract was signed for, right? You're starting to see a little bit at the plate wise what he's doing. You're seeing key homers. You're seeing big homers in big situations. I think the knock on him at first this year was like, oh, cool, he's hitting homers when it doesn't matter. Or he's driving in runs when it doesn't matter. Now you're not seeing that. You're starting to see him heat up a little bit. The problem is you got a back issue. And so now it's like when you're a hot player like that at the plate, but your back's there, and it seems like maybe, and it happens. And I was a guy that never really said it until it was too late. And I had some interesting injuries as a Giant, but I also had some real injuries. I had the fake ones where you stabbed yourself, which that's on me, So you have that, and the kid jumping on my knee, and Walker. I still talk to my son about that. I'm still a little upset. I told him he cost me money, on doing that. Like all those things. But then you have real ones where it's like, no, I'm fine. I'm not feeling great, but I'm gonna grind it out. It's really hard to do it when it comes to backs, when it comes to knees, when it comes to any kind of explosive joint or muscle areas. You really can't work through that. And it might be causing a little bit of him delayed getting to a bag, because you can't be athletic when your back's hurting. Your back will debilitate you on certain movements. And I think we're maybe seeing that a little bit. I don't know what you're seeing, but
100%. So I had this really interesting talk with Willie the other day, and his defensive numbers are so far down. And this is a guy who should be, in my mind, at least in the top half of big league shortstops. Yeah. He's not right now. He's not able physically to work with Ron Washington the way they would both really like him to be able to work with Washington. Because you see what Ron Washington's done with Luis Arraez. If he can make Luis Arraez into a Gold Glove level second baseman, what can he do with Willy Adames? But he's got to maintain with the back, which means limiting some on-field stuff pregame. We all understand that. We get that. It's just so, it's frustrating. And here's the thing to me, like, look, he's going off. He's not going to go on the IL anytime soon. Not the way he's swinging the bat. He's got 4 homers in the last 8 games, 10 RBIs. I mean, he's really just been terrific. The grand slam, 2-out homer in the 9th to tie it.
Yeah.
Terrific. But he's just not the shortstop right now. He could be. So he took the 3 days off in Arizona right before the end of the break, right before the break. And then came back for the series against Colorado. Look, he could have gone on the IL and knocked this thing out. And I love and respect players who want to be in there. I'm going to play through this. But sometimes you could argue you're not always doing yourself or the team the best by doing that. If you have a fully, completely healthy Willy Adames who can do all the stuff he wants to do with Wash, who can move really well in the field, shortstop and catcher are the 2 most important positions on the field to me. And you
They are.
need
Yep.
your shortstop 100%. You need him to be able, you need his range, all of that kind of stuff, the athleticism. I would have maybe liked to see him take that time. And then you got the break. He could have had almost 2 weeks off. If you've got a back issue that's not resolved after 2 weeks, then maybe something else is going on and you do try to suck it up the rest. I do kind of wish, I told him the other day, I almost felt like his mom, because I was like, you got to be careful with this
Yeah.
stuff. You do, it's
Yeah.
a back. And that's the other thing. If you don't knock it out, you're potentially taking the risk that you make it worse at some point, and that would just be awful. So I don't know why I'm trouble. I love, again, the instinct. I want to be in the lineup. I want to help the players every day. He's a guy who wants to be in there. 162. Respect, enormous respect for that. I don't know if it's always the wisest course.
Well, and backs don't just go away. You don't just be like, it'll finally work itself out. Most of the time, it's a major joint. I mean, it is a major part to swinging or running. And sometimes your back might not hurt as bad swinging because it's not rotational this way, but it's going to be rotational front to back. Well, as a shortstop, you got to kind of jump. Your first steps are important. Moving left, right can be important. Backs can mess you up in certain ways. And I remember I had some back problems where I would do one thing, but I could throw just fine. As long as I can throw, I just won't move off the mound. And I tried not to leave the dirt anyway, because that was a whole chaotic scenario when I left the dirt. I think everybody started gasping as soon as I tried to make a play. So I would just let it go, but I could pitch. So with Adames, for me, I don't see the point. But I'm not in the clubhouse. I'm not with Gresh. I don't know. Gresh is brilliant. I trust the training staff.
Brilliant.
But I'll tell you, maybe squeezing another couple games in July, if you're not going to trade him, which I don't think you are. I do not think he's a tradable guy. He's not a tradable piece for me. I think you give him more in the
With a bad
contract
back.
yet. Yeah, and a bad back. So I wouldn't really look to trade him right now anyway, even unless I got a great offer. Bad back messes it up even more. Have a healthy August, September, and people are going to say, well, why does it matter if they're out of it? No, it actually means a lot to a team in August, September. How you finish out of the playoffs, fine. How you finish carries into what the ownership decides for next year. So if you can prove to the ownership in August, September, all of a sudden you're a winning team. We did it in 09. We had a great second half finish, sparked everybody. Fans started coming back, energy. Well, now ownership said, well, hold on. Well, let's go get Huff. Let's go get some guys. Let's go get, Uribe. Let's go get, Renteria. Like, we get some guys. And now let's, build a little bit around them. And because they showed it. So August, September is a big deal. Having a healthy Adames in August and September would be way more important than me than having a limping Adames through those, because you tried to play him in July when you didn't need to. If he doesn't want out of the lineup, put him in the lineup. You can DH him. If he's okay to swing, great. But maybe get him off his feet a little bit. There's other guys that can play short. Let them play short. And because honestly, a AAA 4A shortstop maybe that they might have in AAA, maybe a guy that's on the team right now that can play healthy is probably going to play a little bit better than Adames that's hurt, just because he's hurt. He's not giving you what he should be giving you. And maybe that's what you should do. Keep him in the lineup as long as he can be in it, but get him off his feet. He doesn't have to play in the field that much. You don't have to be a hero right now. There's no point in it.
So true. And plus you set the tone for next year with the young kids too, if you finish strong. Let's hear it from a quick sponsor. I love this conversation though. And then we're talking trade. So we got the good stuff coming up. Who doesn't like talking trade? Hey, hang on, we'll be right back with that.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans think you know who's hitting a homer today? Well, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. Joining the action is easy. Just make your free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game. And if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. You've got nothing to lose and a lot to gain. And don't forget, you can make a free pick every day all season long. It's just another reason why FanDuel is the home for home runs. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com/podcast. That's FanDuel.com/podcast to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball.
We're back.
FanDuel. Yeah. We get to play GM. We get to play Buster. I'm sure he's going to love it. He's going to love the fact that I'm playing him right now on this. I'm sure he's going to really enjoy that. So trade deadline is August 2nd this year, correct? They bumped it?
August 3rd. August
August
3rd.
3rd?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, stuff's heating up. There were scouts, probably more than the ones I chatted with last night, but Heliot Ramos is kind of popular, it sounds like. I think there are teams who are looking at him. I wrote a story in the Chronicle today, as you can see, about the fact that the Mariners were there, which is kind of funny because the Giants just saw the Mariners, but they're looking for bats. I mean, they're looking for bats pretty much everywhere and anywhere. And the Phillies, who are very much looking for right-handed hitting outfielder. I think Ramos would make a lot of sense for them. He's going into arbitration. I love Ramos. I like almost all of these moves. I see you. Maybe you could be a GM, Jeremy. I couldn't do it. I could not. I love Heliot Ramos. I love Luis Ariz. Like all these guys that are up in talks are just fantastic guys. Plus, he's such a fun player, and he's come so far in the last couple of years, turning himself into an everyday player, a slugger who's feared, especially when he gets on a roll. And he's really, there have been years where he's really improved his defense. He's back looking better and defensively. But man, if they can get a significant amount for Heliot Ramos, they got to consider it. Casey Schmidt's piquing a lot of interest too, which totally understandable. He's great wherever you put him, and he's got pop. I think for those reasons that's a little less likely, but hey, somebody absolutely throws a ton at the Giants, they got to consider almost anything. How are you feeling about this?
Well, I mean, there's the obvious, right? Robbie Ray is probably going to be an obvious guy. You got I think Luis, he is going to be a guy, second base, plays great, awesome Gold Glover. Man, you got to just be able to say, hey, man, if I'm going to give him up, which you got to answer a phone. I think I got a list of guys that you don't answer. Sorry, dogs. I'm outside. And so but I think there are some obvious guys that you have to pretty much, I have a list of guys you don't answer the phone for. Everybody else, you got to do it. Ramos is the guy I'm answering the phone for. Why? Not because I don't think he's a fun guy for the Giants. I think he's got power. But all outfielders for me are tradable all the time. They're out there. There's guys that are out there. There's guys that you can go get. Is he available? 100%. Can I get a group of pitchers back? I need to get some young pitching back or a big time. To me, you better get a veteran guy that you have under control a little bit in the bullpen, because I think you need bullpen help. I really do. It's the problem with bullpen help right now for a team that may be looking to build. It's pretty tough to get a veteran guy that's still under contract, because all these guys, they want to win, and they're going to go to teams that are usually in a winning situation if they do get traded. So to go to a situation to a team that's not winning, I don't think you're going to get the bullpen guys you want. I think I think you got to get them in free agency, but I think you can get some young pitching, because I think it's going to be needed, and especially a young potential 4 or 5 hole starter. Schmidt, man, I understand he's on the trade deadline. He would be a really hard phone call for me to take. You're going to have to give up a lot, because of the fact if I lose Luis, he can play second and he can hit for power. So he's going to be a guy that I'm going to have a hard time giving up because of he's young, he's cheap, he's affordable. Like, there's a lot of upside to keeping him. But again, I don't think you're untouchable. I just think he's a hard phone call for me. You'd have to give up some stuff for him. And it'd have to be a blockbuster type deal, right? So you'd have to have a 3-way, and you're going to have to get someone that you might have to land a 2-starter, like that is a young and under control and cheap. And I got years. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios there, but Ramos, I would. Luis, you gotta shop him. He's a guy that's going to give you your best return. Robbie Ray, you've got to shop. Free agent, you got to shop him. But I don't think Logan Webb. There's a lot of guys I would not shop, because you got to build around, in my opinion.
I think for me, there would be a lot of guys who would be available for the right price. I'd stay away from, obviously, some of the obvious guys, like the young catchers, Eldridge, of course.
Yeah.
I'd stay away from Schmidt for the obvious reasons, unless you got a haul. Absolutely would stay away from Logan Webb, which Buster has said, I'm not trading Logan Webb. If you got if somebody just threw everything they had, maybe I'd consider it. Maybe, probably not. but
It's just
maybe
not going to happen, though. No
right,
one's going to do
right.
it, right?
But
Their asking price is too high.
you mentioned the bullpen. All the contenders are looking for relief help. As much as the Giants need to rebuild their bullpen, you're right. That happens in the offseason. Nobody's going to trade you like a young, good, controllable reliever. If they're in
Right.
contention, they need that guy. I would unload pretty much anybody in the bullpen that anybody asks for.
Yep.
I'm so sorry, Jeremy. I feel the way you feel about outfielders, I feel about relievers at the trade
No, it's
deadline.
true.
They're
No,
all available.
100%. You're right. And you're available even if you're good. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't matter. Like they always talk about the core four. And yes, we were a solid group, but I'll guarantee you Sabian was going to take a call. He's going to take a call if someone's going to offer someone for me or for Romo or for Hop. You're going to take the call. Like, I have to. I can't guarantee we get used. I mean, Bochy, man, when I signed that 3-year deal, he called me and I was just talking to him about it when we were fishing. And I'm like, man, I remember when I signed the 3-year deal, you're the first person to call and congratulate me. He's like, I was? I'm like, yeah. You know what? You remember what you told me? He's like, no. It's like, hey, congratulations on your deal. I said, thanks, Boch. He's like, well, now I'm really going to abuse you because I got 3 guaranteed years to do it to you. I mean, he'd warm you up nonstop. You don't know when they're going to get hurt. You don't. Like, so it's like, hey, I'm not going to turn down a great deal for a bullpen guy because he could get hurt tomorrow, or I could warm him up 6 times and his shoulder could flare up. Like, deal's a deal. And I think that you can get rid of everybody in that bullpen. You're not doing what for what? They're not sealing up games. Like, if there might be 1 or 2 arms that are doing so well, but it's still not working, and you get someone, go, like, and be ready to go. Relievers should have their bags packed all the time. There's no security for a reliever. I put a clause in my contract on the 3-year deal on a trade clause because you're not going to get a no trade clause as a reliever. I just made sure I had enough leverage after 2012's World Series run that I just told Sabian, the deal he offered me was fantastic. I loved Sabian. Sabian had a great relationship, but I said, but here's the clause if you trade me, because that means the other team wants me that bad, but I also can lease a home and buy out my lease and get a little extra cash, and you better really want me. That's the only way you can do it, because my bags are packed all the time. It just
So
is
you got a
what
little
it is.
extra if you got traded.
But I had to get, but Susan, that was 10 plus years of proving the big leagues that I could get that. You're not getting that as a young reliever. You're not getting that as a 6-7 year reliever. You're just not. And for me, and I had to be a part of world championship teams to get that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that went right our way. And so for reliever, I think all the bullpens available. I think I just think like a Wisenhunt, I really wouldn't trade a guy like that. I wouldn't trade guys that are going to be future rotation guys before you got to give them a chance to succeed before you trade them. And so I think those guys are untouchable for me. I think the Eldridge is untouchable. I think Lee's untouchable for me. I really do, because he can command the outfield, great bat, spark in the lineup. He's a guy under contract. I don't have to worry about getting rid of him.
It's a
he would be
decent
untouchable.
contract. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's affordable. My gosh, for that bat he's giving you, it's an affordable contract, So
And he brings
for me,
he brings a whole other market too, which little cynical,
right.
but they like that
No.
South Korea market, and they should.
That's right. The Chapman, I think you got to assume the contract. I mean, you're gonna have to eat that. Like, if a team wants them, you got to take on the whole contract on that. Roop, I don't. Unless you're overwhelmed with a amazing deal, I don't give up Roop either, because I think he's starting to figure it out. He's that guy for me, later than Kane was, but he's that kind of Kane for me possibility. Kane became a number 1 for a little bit, but he's your 2 guy that maybe for me was it has that potential to be that kind of guy, just maybe not as early as Kane was, but Roop's coming into that, in my opinion.
Yeah. You got traded once, right? How old were you when that happened? What was that whole process like for you?
Yeah, so I think I was what was I? I think I was it was 2006. So I got to think I was like 26 years old, 27 years old when I got traded, and I was with Kansas City, and we were basically what the Giants in Kansas City is right now, right? 100, I think we lost 100 games. I mean, we were losing a lot. and I was not real thrilled to be there because my role, right? I was a starter, I was a closer, I was a reliever, I was a mid. Like it was so much throughout that year. I was exhausted. So I was one of those kind of guys that was like, how am I at the trade deadline right now? And Matt Stairs and Tony Graffinino and all these guys are getting traded. How am I still here? Like I'm not. They know I'm not real thrilled. And I wasn't that guy that would like come out in the paper, but they knew I wasn't really happy there, and it ran its course. And I remember literally 2 minutes before the deadline was over, Dayton Moore gave me a call and he said, hey, I traded to Colorado. And I was really probably too excited to answer that. When he told me, he's like, I traded you, I was like, oh really? And I was like, that okay, well, where am I? I was kind of a little bit overboard. Hey, I think he knew it though. He wrote me a nice note when he traded me saying, hey, I just felt like this would give you a fresh start. You have a lot of talent. I just don't think you'll be able to show that talent here based on the history of how things have gone. So I want to give you a fresh start. Unfortunately, he gave me a fresh start in freaking Colorado where there's no gravity. But that was a little bit interesting to come to deal with. But bags were packed. I was on a plane in 2 hours. I was at the game that night in uniform, ready to go, excited for a fresh start. That doesn't always happen. And I had a home in Kansas City. Didn't care. I'll figure out a way to sell it. It's okay. It's fine. We're good. But some guys aren't necessarily that ready to do that. And some guys, especially if they have kids. At that time, I didn't have kids. So it's easier to do them. When you have kids, you got to think moving kids, family, trying to get your wife squared away. But you don't have that. You have like 2 days ago. When you get traded, the team's expecting you to, I need you here. So you don't get to sit with your family and help pack up a house or get your kids all packed up. You don't have that. And so it can be stressful on that. Also, I've seen guys go from first to worst. Well, I'm in a first place team and they get traded to a last place team. That's a complete air suck, right? And then guys go from but then guys go worst to first and they get thrown into it. And what you see is how guys, and everybody says it. Oh, you traded that guy. He's doing really good now. You messed it up. No, he didn't mess it up. He's doing really good because his situation changed his mindset and his situation changed his perception of the game. And now he enjoys the game. He plays now for something. That always causes guys to increase a little bit. Some guys go the other way. Some guys are afraid to win. They really are, believe it or not. I've played with guys that literally stayed with certain teams because the expectation was I'm good on this team. And I don't have to have any more expectation than that. When you go to a winning team, there's a lot more than just being good. You got expected to win and to produce when it matters. So you see a lot of that. I think that most guys, once they get traded, it's a mentality of they think that when you can get past the fact that I got traded because the team doesn't want me to, no, actually you got traded to a team because somebody else wants you more than we need you. That is actually a positive mentality to have. When I can sit there and say, oh, I'm going to a team that says, no, we didn't trade you because, oh man, you're thrown in the deal. And some minor league guys are just thrown in a deal, right? Like that. But no, I traded for you because I have a plan for you. I want to use you in this way. All these things, that matters. And when you can have that mentality, that's when it changes. And that's what most guys need to have.
Yeah, I always remind people that this time of year, you always want to be a buyer and not a seller. But The guys that are going from teams that are in the situation that the Giants are in right now, by and large, they're probably going to be happy to be going to a contender.
Oh, yeah.
Most guys want to win. Most guys want to win. You wound up with a pretty good Colorado team. That was a very good team. So, usually that's kind of, guys don't like losing. Arise came to, nobody wants to see Arise go. Nobody. I get more emails and questions on social media about why don't they keep Arise? Why don't they keep Arise? It just doesn't make sense. And you know what? He says he wants to. He said he'd be open to signing an extension. Everybody says that. Nobody's going to say no, I'm not open to that. He came to the Giants saying, "This is a good team. I want to win." I don't think that there's a very little reason for him to want to sign an extension, like realistically with the Giants, nor for them to sign. They've got Casey Schmidt. They've got other options. They can get a lot for him. Just nobody wants to see him go, but this is the right thing to do. And I'm guessing Luis Suarez, and he's been traded a bunch before. He knows the drill. I think if he hops into a pennant race, that dude is going to be psyched and he's going to go off. So, Jeremy,
Yep.
another wonderful show. I think maybe
Yeah, it
probably
was awesome.
we'll continue this later in the week, I guess.
Yeah. I'd like to see, and obviously as it coming closer to the deadline, we'll have a lot more to talk about. I'm sure it'll be heated up
Absolutely.
news-wise, and we can kind of break some of that down. But let's hope the identity on these guys starts changing, because I think that's what'll happen. If the identity changes in this team in the next 2 months, and they just kind of let go and say, "Hey, how about we don't have to win, we want to win." And if we can go with that mentality, I think you'll see a lot of change, and it can happen. I've seen a lot of teams have a great second half. Doesn't mean they'll go to the playoffs. It just gives fans hope, right? So
Absolutely.
that's what we're hoping for.
Absolutely. All right.
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate you joining us, man. What an awesome opportunity to talk with you, Susan. Thank you so much for being the pulse for us. Don't forget, don't be afraid to sign in, follow. Whatever you got to do to kind of make sure you're watching this over and over again. Put a reminder on your phone to watch, whatever. Don't be afraid to do that. We're having some great conversations, and the conversations are just going to get better over time. Thank you again so much for joining Splash Hit Territory, and we'll see you next time.
21 plus select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DC, Kentucky, Wyoming. No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Call 1-800-MY-RESET. 1-888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY New York. Call 1-877-770-7867 Louisiana.